Husband and wife, Homer and Marge, pull up to the elementary school pageant with their youngest daughter, Maggie. They're there to watch their other children perform. Lisa pulls off this pretty cool tiki stunt. And their son Bart ruins A Christmas Carol by purposefully changing up the lyrics.
Jingle bells, that man smells, Robin lays an egg.
Marge writes a Christmas card to her family after she gets home and says that unfortunately Snowball 1 had passed over the last year, but Maggie started walking, Lisa's got straight A's, and they all still love Bart. The kids show Marge their Christmas lists, but they aren't very realistic. Lisa wants a pony, and Bart wants a tattoo. The phone gets a call, and Homer wrestles the caller for a name, but she refuses and just continues asking for Marge over and over. He gives up after a while and finally hands it over. He knows it's her sister's, but just wanted some respect. He still doesn't get it anyway. Homer brings the kids outside to show off his lights, but they don't work. Right after his fail, his next-door neighbor Ned Flanders shows off his perfect lights. What a great Christmas. Homer asks Marge where the Christmas savings are being stored, and she asks him to turn around and pulls it out of her hair.
Oh, big jar this year.
They go to the mall to look for presents, and Bart can't help but admire the mother tattoo.
One mother, please.
Wait a minute. How old are you?
21, sir.
Get in a chair.
Meanwhile, Homer's at work. He eats some donuts while listening to an announcement when his boss, Mr. Burns, reveals there will be no Christmas bonuses due to budget cuts. Bart gets the tat, and Marge freaks out. She brings him to a clinic for a laser removal, but they tell Marge they can only take cash, so she has to spend the whole Christmas fund. Lisa and Maggie sit and play with Bart's wound while he tries to relax. Homer comes in and Marge shows him the empty Christmas budget. However, they can just stretch his upcoming Christmas bonus, and he just doesn't have the heart to tell them he won't be getting anything this year. Later that night, Marge and Homer are lying in bed. He admits he doesn't deserve her, but he just can't bring himself to tell her the truth, so he tells her he's going to do the Christmas shopping this year. He gets Marge some pantyhose, Bart some paper, and Maggie a dog squeak toy. On his way out of the shop, he runs into Ned and drops his bag. He gets embarrassed after hearing Ned's son say it's gonna be the best Christmas ever, so Homer goes to Moe's. Barney walks in and tells him that he's been hired as a mall Santa, so Homer runs and goes through the interview process, getting the job on the spot. They go through a class and Homer asks when they're going to get paid. His boss tells him, and the rest of the class for that matter, that they won't be seeing a dime until Christmas Eve. After the class, Homer's excited to go take a bath, but Marge reveals her sister came by. The kids are finally excited to see him, but it's only because of their aunt's presence. Homer says he has to take off to go get a tree, and the kids ask to come, but he says no and storms off. He drives into a private farm and steals a tree. He gets shot at on his way out, but everyone seems pretty happy once he gets home.
Do I smell gunpowder?
The next morning, Homer's trying his best to be the best mall Santa, but it isn't going very well. Bart finds him, and he's dared by his friend to yank the beard off of him. Bart commits, and he's shocked to find Homer under the beard. Homer pulls him off to the side and decides to tell him everything. Then the two go and receive his check. He's all excited, but is immediately shook to find the paycheck only containing $13. Barney's pretty happy though, because he's gonna go gamble it away at a dog race. He asks Homer if he wants to join along, but he declines and says he isn't bringing his kid around that crap. But Bart gets pretty excited, so Homer decides to go. Meanwhile, Marge sits with the rest of the family watching Christmas specials. He tells her he's gonna go sing some carols with Bart. Barney shows him his winning dog, but a different dog gets called out. This one's named Santa's Little Helper, and Homer takes it as a massive coincidence, obviously meaning this is gonna be the winning dog, but Bart says he has a bad feeling about it. Homer goes for it anyway, refusing to believe it was just a coincidence. I mean, there's no way, it's a Christmas miracle. You see it on TV all the time, right? Marge's sisters sit on Homer's couch and complain about him. They let the dogs out, and it isn't looking very good. Santa's Little Helper is stuck in last place. They continue yelling at him and cheering him on, but he's stuck in way last place now, losing Homer's $13 basically on the spot.
I don't want to leave till our dog finishes.
But they eventually decide to dip. As they're bathing in their loss, Santa's Little Helper is thrown out of the back and jumps into Homer's arms.
Oh, can we keep him, Dad?
But he's a loser! He's pathetic! He's a Simpson.
Meanwhile, everyone's waiting for him. Marge says she's gonna call the police, but he walks in and Homer admits he didn't get a Christmas bonus. He blew the last of his money, but Bart quickly interrupts and shows off the new dog.
A dog! All right, Dad. What's his name?
Number 8. I mean, Santa's little helper.
Wrapping up a perfect Simpsons Christmas. The family plays a board game one late afternoon, and Homer has some difficulty figuring out a word. Just like me, I'm that guy. I hate this fucking game. Bart complains, and Lisa plays a word that sounds made up, so Homer's forced to take the dictionary out of the short end of the couch. Bart plays all of his letters for an actual made-up word, and Homer gets pretty upset, so he chases Bart across the living room. Bart's vandalizing a school wall the next day, but teacher's pet Nelson finds out and tells the principal. So Bart's almost caught by Principal Skinner, but he checks everyone's hands, and Bart's still caught in the end, pretty red-handed. Skinner says they're going to have a little talk, and Nelson tries to apologize to Bart after, but he doesn't take it nicely. Their teacher announces a test, and Bart's forced to turn around. So he doesn't cheat, he tries his hardest to understand the question, but it just doesn't make any sense. So he's taken by the bus operator, and he's brought through a nightmare. He tries to stop the train, and falls out of his chair, disrupting the class. So his teacher yells at him and replaces him. He takes the opportunity of her being distracted to cheat. He takes Nelson's test and erases his name, replacing its ashes with his own. Skinner calls in Homer and Marge, and he tells the family he caught Bart vandalizing. And this is just one event in a long line of problems. So he calls in a psychiatrist, and it turns out Bart is a genius. However, this is only due to him rewriting his name on Martin's test. So the psych tells Bart they're going to need to send him to a special school that will better help his genius brain develop.
I mean, my son a genius? How does it happen?
Well, genius-level intelligence is usually the result of heredity and environment. Although in some cases it's a total mystery.
On the way to the school, Bart asks his dad to take the scenic route, and he does, getting spoiled left and right like a king. So Homer pushes Bart into the class, and the teacher tells him that he's allowed to read whatever he wants, whenever he wants. So he picks out a comic book, but she throws it away almost immediately. She introduces him to the rest of the class, and he doesn't really understand any of them. He meets some hamsters, and he gets along pretty well with those, but his teacher tells him not to get so attached. They'll be dissecting them next week.
That's all I needed for him to do that, and it became personal with me.
You want to hurt me? Go right ahead if it makes you feel any better. I could be a cold-hearted cynic like you. You think what you want about me, I'm not changing.
The kids make fun of him and scalp his lunch. They make fun of him on his way out, and it's made real clear you won't be fitting in around here. Homer comes upstairs and asks Bart if he would like to go out for some chocolate milkshakes. Marge reveals she's got tickets for the opera, so they all go, and Homer's pretty upset. Bart makes a little song, and Marge isn't pleased. As Bart's trying to tell Homer he cheated, Homer asks to go throw some ball. They end up sharing a real heartwarming scene, but Bart crumbles and doesn't tell him about the academic issues. While Bart's trying to complete an experiment, he accidentally blows it all up. So he asks the principal to go spy on his classmates back in his old school. The principal tells him that it's a great idea, but he has to write a letter to his school asking for permission. But he just can't do it, so he writes out his confession. He hands it to the principal, and he's a little more than disappointed. When Bart gets home, Homer gives him a bath, and Bart confesses to everything. He tries to have a heartwarming moment like before, but Homer ends up lashing out. He locks his bedroom door, and Homer tries to break in with all his might, but it just doesn't work. Mrs. Krabappel is going to be bringing the kids on a field trip to the Springfield power plant. Bart's forced to sit next to a poor motion-sick kid, and he tries to tell Mrs. Krabappel that the kid's gonna be sick, but she says she doesn't want to hear another word out of him, and the next word out of his mouth will result in him singing in front of the whole bus. The twins sitting behind Bart decide to sabotage him and make him scream after kissing him, so he's forced to sing. But he ends up enjoying it, and after they get to the power plant, he has to be forced to shut up.
Wendell, you made it, buddy.
Slithers is in charge of showing the class a little video. It says, when we think of nuclear energy, we usually think of bombs, which is true, but it really powers most electrical equipment. The twins attempt to make fun of Bart because their dad told them that Homer just sits around and does nothing. He doesn't take it as an insult though, and moves on. When he finally does find Homer, he's driving through the plant, and he distracts him for only a split second, resulting in him crashing and destroying a pretty important pipe. The manager asks who's responsible, and Homer's fired. Bart looks on in disappointment, knowing he was in some part responsible for all of this. The next morning, Lisa's job searching for Homer through the newspaper, but Homer shuts down all the jobs. The family manages to motivate him, and he charges outside, but everybody closes their door, including Bart, so Homer runs to Moe's. Bart prank calls him, and it works. Homer runs out of funds and asks for a drink on the house, but Moe says no, because he doesn't think Homer's gonna be able to find a job anytime soon, if ever. That night, Marge tells Homer her old boss told her she could come back anytime she'd like, so she goes ahead and does it, but she doesn't have a very good first day. And as Homer lays on the couch in a depressed mood, a Duff commercial pops onto the TV. He searches the fridge, but doesn't find anything, so he goes into Bart's room and steals his piggy bank, slowly creeping back downstairs until he finally smashes it, scrounging up a few cents. He counts out the money and cries in disappointment when he finds it doesn't contain enough change. Oh wait, yeah, no change. So, now, extremely disappointed Homer then goes on to write a note you would usually write when you're going to do something you won't survive, if you know what I'm saying. He ties a decent-sized rock around his stomach and makes sure to grease up the hinges on the fence door before crawling to a bridge. The kids wake up thinking they were robbed, so they wake up Marge, but Lisa finds Homer's note and everybody runs to stop him. Before the family almost gets hit by a car, he runs and pulls them out of the road, and this is when he realizes he does have a purpose: to get a stop sign put on that damn bridge. So the family goes to the town hall, or wherever these fucking people go. Everyone agrees, and Homer continues going crazy, installing signs left, right, and center. Homer sits in a park after his extravaganza, overlooking all of his work, and he's burnt out from all the signs. He needs something new, and he wants to shut down the power plant, so they start a protest. Mr. Burns overlooks the riot, and he's pretty pissed. Mr. Burns orders Slithers to go kidnap Homer and brings him up to his office. So he asks him to come back as a safety supervisor, and Homer tries to decline that offer, but Mr. Burns gives him 30 seconds to think on it. The time runs out way too fast, and Homer takes the job. Mr. Burns tells him to go onto his balcony and tell his riot that the plant's safe, but Homer can't bring himself to do it. He goes back inside and tries to take back the offer, but Mr. Burns pressures him with the idea of a raise. So Homer races out to the crowd and announces he'll be in charge of keeping the plant safe from now on, and this is enough to keep them all pleased. Bart and Lisa fight over, well, nothing, and Homer tries to stop them, but they lie to him and tell him that they're just fighting over who loves him more. He tells them they're going to Burns' house for a private get-together, and when he shows up with plates full of Jell-O, unfortunately, everyone showed up with plates full of Jell-O because some idiot at the plant told everybody that Mr. Burns' favorite food was Jell-O, and that totally wasn't Slithers or no nothing. Lisa and Bart try to play, but Homer chases them around. Marge is asked to drinks by a pretty woman who seems normal, obviously setting up a clear contrast, one of structure and self-preservation, and one of chaos and self-destruction. Marge drinks punch with her and now another woman, and they all brag about their children, except for Marge. But she does try to brag, but all she can bring herself to say is, well,
I sense greatness in my family.
Your family?
Well, it's a greatness that others can't see, but it's there, and if it's not true greatness we have, we're at least average.
While Burns is doing his potato sack race, Bart goes off script and tries to win, but that would have ruined Homer's job, so he tackles Bart, ensuring Burns' victory.
Close one this year.
And it was indeed a close match this year. Marge gets a little too tipsy and almost embarrasses Homer. Luckily, he keeps her contained. Burns releases his hounds and rudely tells everyone to evade his property immediately. Mr. Burns compliments a father while he's passing by with his son, so Homer tries to give Bart $5 to kiss him and impress the old man, but Burns calls it out. On their way out, Homer tries to joke around with that guy about all the ass kissing that happened in that shitty party, but he just says he pities him. His family is normal, and Homer kind of hates him for it. So he walks out into the living room and overlooks his family after they all get home, and they're all eating like animals, just like the nature documentary on TV is saying. He tells them they're all going to go eat at the table, and they're going to say grace, trying his hardest to break into that uniformed family dynamic. But these things just can't be forced. I've learned that time and time again. They can be taught over time with positive reinforcement and other forms of motivation and discipline, but you just can't snap your fingers and instill somebody / an entire family with the structure of a 50-year-old war veteran. You can't do it. Bart makes a made-up prayer, and Homer yells at him for it. He apologizes to the Lord, and then he pulls out a full prayer. They cut him off before he's done, and it makes him even more upset. Lisa tells him every family is like theirs, so he takes them out for a little family field trip to do some classic peeping Tomery. They find a formal, picture-perfect American family through one window, but then they watch a boy talk to his grandpa. And as they're wondering what they're talking about, the boy says he heard some rustling, so the grandpa tells him to go get his gun. They run straight home, and Homer tramples his own flower bed. He goes to Moe's for a few drinks, and recounts his mother telling him he was bound to be the biggest disappointment, and he officially believes it. A commercial pops up for a family therapist, so Homer goes straight to Moe's phone. Homer goes home and tells the family he's called the doctor, and he needs 250 big ones. Marge tells him they don't have that kind of money, so Homer tells her to break it into the college fund, but there isn't even $250 in there, which is like, that is so American. I mean, oh my goodness. So Homer decides to pawn off his TV, once again, so fucking American. Marge asks if they could just pawn her engagement ring instead. I'm not making this up. Like, this is America. This TV show is America. Fuck Family Guy. They feel like the UK compared to this. Like, this is America. This is prime. The doctor tells everyone to write their fears and anxieties on the pad of paper, and the whole family draws Homer. Well, except for Homer. Homer draws a plane crash, which I feel like is much more valid. So their doctor freaks out, and the family starts getting pretty aggressive, so he pulls some foam swords out of a cabinet and hands them to the family. It seems to work pretty well, so they ask if they're cured. And a few minutes later, the family finds themselves stuck in electric chairs, which gives them the ability to shock each other. But they start getting out of control once again and begin trying to speed run each other's brain rots as fast as possible. So they ruin the equipment, and the doctor's forced to kick them out. But Homer says the commercial said happiness guaranteed or double the money back. So the doctor gives him 500 big ones and kicks him out, and the family sets off to go buy a new TV. Homer finds some muffins in the stove. Lisa and Marge are baking them for her classroom teachers. They tell him to not touch them, and Bart finds them a few minutes later, almost repeating the process. Homer almost manages to steal a muffin while lecturing Bart, but Lisa snatches it on her way out. Bart's still pretty upset about Lisa not giving him any muffins, and he rants to Otto. But Lisa comes and gives him a muffin, making Bart even more angry. So Bart and Lisa sit next to each other, and Lisa forces Bart to compliment her a bunch before dropping a muffin on the floor and throwing it into his mouth. He says thank you and moves on. So a kid steals Lisa's box of muffins, and Bart tries to defend her, but she tries to stop him, claiming he's one of Nelson's friends. But he doesn't listen and gets pissed. He tackles the kid and attempts to punch him, but Nelson picks him up, and he gets a good punch on him, making his nosebleed. So he challenges Bart to an after-school fight. Bart has a daydream gone wrong while processing the fight. Nelson confronts Bart in the lunchroom, and everyone dips. Nelson tells him to meet him at the flagpole at 3 p.m. In Bart's next class, he daydreams his own funeral for after Nelson's finished with him. Lisa gives Bart a final muffin, but Nelson comes by and snatches it. Bart tries to run away from the school, and Nelson catches him. He punches him in the face a bunch before throwing him into a garbage can and rolling him home. Bart comes inside and runs up to the bath. He starts crying, and Homer walks in. He blow dries Bart's face, and Marge tells him he needs to go to the principal, but Homer freaks out and says Bart simply can't break the common rules of the public education system. And he is unfortunately right, before Homer picks him up and brings him downstairs. He trains him to fight a little, but mainly just tells him to fight dirty. Punch some mud up into his eyes, kick his dick a little bit, make it a good fight. The next day, Bart tries his hardest to fight back, but he just gets really messed up and ends up back in the can. When he gets home, Lisa tells him to go to Grandpa.
He's the toughest Simpson alive. Remember the fight he put up when we put him in the home?
so he runs right over. When Bart gets there, Grandpa gets into a fight and has his newspaper stolen, so he obviously can't take advice from Grandpa anymore. However, Grandpa does know a guy named Herman. He sells war stuff and other combat-related stuff that would scare the shit out of me in person. It's a private secret shop, which makes it 10 times less scary. Right, guys? So Herman starts writing war plans and gets straight to work. Bart tries to pull his grandfather aside and tries to, claiming this guy might be a little bit crazy. But Grandpa just says everyone's a little bit crazier. And the crazier he is, the better. That just means the less likely they are to fail. Bart calls all of the nerds from school in order to start an army against Nelson, and everyone storms out. So Bart promises a victory and good times, and everyone runs back inside. They commit to some trainings where they don't go very well, but they quickly set things off on the right direction. So the kids all attack Nelson, and he's forced to flee, but eventually they pin them up against a fence. Everyone charges into Nelson and whomps him with countless water balloons. So they tie Nelson up, and Bart brings him home, but Nelson tells him he's just gonna kill him after he unties him. So Hector was already prepared for this, and he had already started a peace treaty, so he finishes writing it and makes Nelson sign it, officially making Bart and Nelson friends. Lisa stands in front of the bathroom mirror, struck with a pretty bad case of the blues. Meanwhile, Homer's banging on the door to break in, but she won't budge. Eventually, she leaves, but Bart cuts in front of him, beating him. After that chaos, Homer, struggling to find his keys, checks the whole house until he eventually finds them. Lisa's music teacher struggles with Lisa after she goes off script, so he corrects her and tells her to keep to the script. A food fight breaks out in the cafe, but Lisa refuses to engage. Then, in gym, she tells her teacher that she's too sad to play and gets hammered by all the balls. Bart and Homer play some video games in the living room, and Bart absolutely destroys him. Marge cuts them off and shows Homer a note Lisa's teacher wrote. Bart takes the opportunity to finish off Homer's character. Her gym teacher had written her up. Homer pulls her up to his lap and asks her what's bothering her, and she says some troubling things that made my stomach turn while thinking about her age.
I'm just wondering, what's the point? Would it make any difference at all if I never existed? How can we sleep at night when there's so much suffering in the world?
Well, come on, Lisa, ride the Homer horsey.
So Lisa's sent to take a bath, and Bart's forced to vacuum the entire living room. Once Lisa gets out of the bath, she tells Bart that nobody likes him, and they have Maggie decide, but she chooses... yeah, that stings. Bart beats Homer in their game again, and Homer blames it on Lisa's loud playing, so he yells at her, but she was already sad and playing the blues. So she breaks down and actually starts crying. She depresses Homer, so he dips, not knowing how to deal with his own feelings. She lays there for a while before overhearing the sweet sound of jazz overflowing through her window. So she sneaks out and follows the racket all the way into the city until she finds this guy.
Marge, getting old is a terrible thing.
While they're having that conversation, Lisa's playing for a man named Mr. Murphy, but his friends call him Bleeding Gums. It's disgusting. They play some tunes and share a solid moment of sadness. Marge finds Lisa and picks her up from the strange man.
Nothing personal.
What a strange man. Bart tries to cheer Lisa up with a classic prank call, but not even that works. Homer goes to an arcade and takes some lessons from a kid to beat Bart in that video game, but his mom comes after the entire day had passed, and Homer gets in trouble with him. Marge tries to cheer Lisa up while driving her to her music class. She forces her to smile, so she forces it, and her classmates immediately try to take advantage of her by inviting her to their house so she can do their homework. Then her music teacher comes out and begins lecturing her, ensuring she won't interrupt practice again. Marge immediately spins the car around. She tells her to be herself, and if that means she's sad for a while, then they'll ride it out with her. It doesn't really matter how she's feeling, just as long as she's still her. Finally, Marge takes Lisa to a jazz gig where she gets to watch Bleeding Gums perform her song. She kind of calls out Homer, but that's alright.
He belongs in the zoo.
What?
Homer and Bart do some lawn work, while the Flanders taunt Bart with their nicer equipment. Right after Homer tells Bart not to think about it, Ned pulls up in a brand new RV. It's big and it's beautiful. Oh, and Homer's also very jealous. He asks how Flanders could ever afford such a beautiful piece, and he claims it's all because of his amazing credit. Homer immediately runs to the RV site and asks the salesman if they have anything better than what Flanders has. So he shows them a double-decker RV, and Homer immediately says he'll take it. He takes Homer into the credit office, and he types his name into the computer for a little credit check, and an alarm goes off. Homer asks if it's a good alarm, and the salesman makes it clear that it is everything but a good alarm. So it's made very clear that Homer will never, ever even have the possibility of owning that RV. So instead, the salesman brings him to a little something more in his budget, and even then it's still a little bit out of his budget. Homer's unsure, so he asks his family, like the man-child he is, but the salesman lets him in for a little HIPAA violation and claims some guy called not 2 minutes ago saying he's coming in to buy the littlest one today. So Homer immediately jumps on the idea and says he'll take it. Definitely should have talked to Marge about that one. They pull up to the Flanders and taunt their new ride, but they don't seem as impressed as the Simpsons were. They drive off and head into the forest, but Homer accidentally drives them halfway off a cliff. Everyone gets out just in time, but the RV falls off. Stranding the Simpsons in the middle of the forest. Homer tries to play off the situation cool, but internally, he's panicking. They set up a little campsite, and Homer takes Bart to find some sort of civilization, but Maggie follows along without them knowing. Homer eventually hears her, but mistakes her for a rattlesnake somehow, and runs away from her, running off the edge of a cliff. Meanwhile, Maggie's attacked by a bear, but she neutralizes it with her pacifier, taming it. But Homer can't seem to find Bart anywhere. But it turns out he was just behind him. They're both naked now, and even more lost. Meanwhile, that bear takes Maggie home. Homer and Bart make some clothes out of sticks and mud, and then they set a trap, but it doesn't work quite right.
Became personal.
So Homer goes into the woods to rattle some animals out. Well, instead a bunch of wild animals just attack him. The bear steals a bottle and a doll, or 2, or 3, or 7, or oh my goodness, 8? So then there were 5, and this is an insane edition of What If. Homer attacks a bee's nest for the honey and gets attacked right back. He runs away and falls into a mud pit where he's recorded, but mistaken for Bigfoot. There's a news report on it, and they set up a Bigfoot tent. Marge and Lisa are found, and Marge is shown a newspaper showing Homer as Bigfoot. Marge claims him to be her husband, and she's immediately pulled into an interviewer tent. While she's being interviewed, the bears showed up, but they're shooed away by the cameraman. And there goes Maggie. Bart and Homer accidentally walk up into the cave and are confronted by the bears, but they save Maggie and find the Bigfoot tent. Homer's tackled and put in a net. They shoot him with a knockout thing, and he's locked in a science lab for a few weeks, or possibly even longer. I don't know how he's so calm, especially while being sober. It isn't very Homer-like. He eventually gets let go, but the study is reported as inconclusive. They couldn't decide if Homer was or wasn't Bigfoot, and he was being too, uncooperative. Is that the right word? Alexa, is uncooperative a word?
From thesaurus.net, uncooperative is a word that is often used to describe someone who is unwilling to work with others or participate in something.
Yeah, stop. Okay, I'm smart. Homer complains a little to Marge before she compliments him and shuts off the light. Homer and Bart find themselves walking down the street on a dark night while carrying the founder of Springfield's head, well, the statue. They're ambushed by a mob, and they run back to the nest of the statue. The crowd closes in, and Bart climbs on top of the statue, asking the crowd why they wouldn't even want to know why he did it before killing them. And so they sit and wait. The family's getting ready for church that morning, but Bart tries to bring a few extra things. Meanwhile, Homer's trying his hardest to finish the game. Marge tweaks out because Homer won't stop listening to his game, and Bart tried to sneak in a personal stereo to listen to rock music during Sunday school, which is so messed up on so many levels. She throws the PS at Homer, and it's pretty clear what he's gonna do now.
He takes it at the 5, and oh!
You see, Homer has $50 on the game, and that means a little bit more to Homer than God. However you want to look at it, this $50 is pretty important to Homer. And if that means skipping one sermon that may or may not be about gambling, then that's what it means. He's got to know if his team won, and he interrupts the sermon after his team wins. So, everything worked out. And the priest is led on to believe that he was actually interested in the sermon. So, that's evil. Homer's just evil in these first few seasons. Bart asks Homer for $5, and he gives it to him. He's gonna go see the new Space Mutants movie, so he runs upstairs and gets changed. He jumps out of his window and rides away on his skateboard. He runs into 3 school bullies, and they invite him into the back door of the movie. So Bart gets to hang out with the quote-unquote cool kids, and they watch the bad movie. But they're caught by the manager, and so they're kicked out. They go to a Pooh's and steal a bunch of shit. They walk to the founder's statue and start attacking it with rocks. Bart nerds off about him, but only a little, until he finally crumbles under the pressure and throws the rock. A store owner comes out and yells at him, and Bart gets super upset, but the other kids don't care. They cloud gaze for a while, and the bullies talk about how cool it would be if somebody did cut the statue's head off. They make fun of him for loving the founder too much and kick him out of the group. Even a few hours later, their voices still rang in his head. Bart knew what he had to do. He asks Homer how important it is to be popular, and Homer claims it's one of the most important things in this entire world. So Bart decides on it right there and then. He's gonna go and take that statue's head clean off. He sets an alarm for late in the night, he puts on a black ninja outfit and slides down the staircase railing, and even silences the cat, which is a super cool scene. He runs to the statue and cuts his head clean off.
What have I done?
And for whatever reason, he takes it home and lays it next to him in bed.
Morning, everybody.
And then the radio static's on, announcing the statue's beheading. The family freaks out after Bart claims it's not that big of a deal, but everyone's depressed. Even the guys at Moe's. Even the retired people. Or, wait, I guess they're always depressed. Well, sometimes they get angry. Bart goes to the bullies to show off his new trophy, but they claim they're gonna beat the socks off whoever did this. They were just clowning around, so Bart dips and internally freaks out. Holy shit, even Mr. Burns is upset. Bart starts digging a hole in the backyard, but the head tries to talk him out of it. He throws him in anyway, but just can't bring himself to complete the job. So he brings it back inside the house in order to confess, and Homer rightly freaks out. But Bart says he just wanted to impress those kids he told Homer about. So Homer's called out with him, and he basically gets away with it. He brings Bart back to put the head back on. And so now Bart's finished talking the crowd down, and well, everybody moves on with their lives. Bart and Lisa slave themselves out in the kitchen for Marge's birthday breakfast. They run inside excitedly to give it to Marge, and Homer gets excited because he thinks it's his birthday. But Bart gets pissed and asks if he forgot his own wife's birthday. He claims he didn't and says he's just gonna go out for a stroll, and then Marge's sisters talk about Homer forgetting. Again, they talk about how he usually gets bad gifts that he would like, so they're mainly for him. And it just so happens the bowling ball Homer's been really wanting is sitting in the mall. What could be a better birthday present than that? While he's eating, Marge's sisters make fun of him. Lisa claims Marge didn't like Bart's present, but she claims she's just saving it for a more special occasion. The waiters come out with the cake, and Homer brings out his present. It falls right out of the bottom and lands right on top of her cake, completely destroying it. To say the very least, she's more than upset. And Homer says if she doesn't want it, he knows somebody who would greatly appreciate it. He got his fucking name engraved on the ball. How do you even do that to somebody you claim to love? Homer tries to talk it out with Marge later, and she accuses him that he only got it for himself. He counteracts and says he didn't, but she argues right back with the whole name engravement. He claims he just wanted to make sure she knew it was from him, but she says she's keeping it and using it. He accidentally slips up and says she doesn't even know how to bowl and she doesn't even like sports, so why would she want it? And that's when the argument was over. So she goes bowling alone and slowly figures it out. She grabs the attention of a charming man who flirts very aggressively with her and really creeps me out this entire episode. He tells her that he can teach her everything she needs to know. So she says sure because she's taken off her feet. She tries to throw but only lands one. So he rearranges her and she hits all of them. He tells her lessons are $25, but hey, it's a $40 value and she's kept there past dinner. She goes through a pretty off encounter with her new teacher and it's just so fucking weird. The family helps each other throw away a pizza box, then lays Maggie down for bed. Marge walks in wicked late and she tells him she's going back tomorrow. The news shocks Homer and he's left worried. When Marge goes to her next class, her new teacher gives her a present and caresses her hands. He continues doing that for the rest of the lesson, constantly grabbing her hands. She tells him he didn't have to drop her off at home, but he claims he just wanted to. Then he suddenly declares his love for her. He invites her to a date tomorrow, and she says sure. I don't know how, but she did. Homer considers the possibilities because, you kind of feel that stuff, but he just doesn't confront her. Marge starts spoiling the kids, and Lisa's the first to catch on. Marge freaks out at the brunch, and she's caught by a gossiper. After she walks away, he calls her annoying and wishes she would be hit by something, and he invites her to his apartment for some fun times. She faints and has a happy dream. When she wakes up, she's confronted by him, and she asks if Thursday's okay, and he says okay. So Marge officially fell out of love with Homer right here. It's just kind of the way that it went. Meanwhile, Homer knows what's going on now. He sits in front of that mirror, knowing the inevitable is coming. I don't know how he's kept her this long, honestly. Homer attempts a compliment for Marge, but it lands face flat. She just doesn't feel anything. She's fallen way out of love by this point. He knows she's going to leave soon, and he can't even bring himself to eat the sandwich. Instead of going to her instructor's apartment, though...
What'll I tell the boss?
Tell him I'm going to the back seat of my car with a woman I love, and I won't be back for 10 minutes.
Bart finds some cool spy glasses in a coupon mag, and he re-breaks the now taped up piggy bank Homer had broken just a few months ago. They get a ring at the door and he runs to the call. He grabs the package out of the very annoyed mail lady's hands and he slams the door in her face. He catches a photo of Homer while he's working out, then Marge while she's shaving. She tells him to go out and take some normal nature photos, so he goes and grafts some roadkill. The family finds him and takes him out to eat. Meanwhile, Homer's at some weird bachelor's party. Bart gets sick after seeing his octopus meal, and he goes to the bathroom. On his way out, he photographs Homer dancing with some gypsy. He brings his photos to a photography class and gets it printed for Neil House, but he promises not to show another soul. However, he shows somebody else almost instantly, resulting in the picture floating all the way to Marge's yoga class. When he gets home, Marge shows Homer the picture, and then kicks him out and throws a suitcase full of clothes at him. She also throws him some tissues, which he quickly uses. He goes straight to Moe's and tells him about it, but Moe's already seen it. Barney asks him where he's gonna stay, and he says a motel. Barney claims no friend of his can do that, so he brings him to his dump of an apartment. And then he goes to a party and invites him, but Homer declines, says he just doesn't feel like it. Marge overhears Lisa whisper a question to Bart, asking when he thinks Dad'll be home, which upsets her, and the kids quickly break into eating again. Mr. Burns confronts Homer about the picture and threatens his job, but then breaks loose and asks Homer for help with the ladies. He tells him to write them some simple poetry, and Burns thanks him before yelling at him to get back to work. Homer sneaks in through the back, and the kids happily welcome him home. He walks into the kitchen, and Marge sits there pissed. He drinks some milk and begs her to let him back in, and Marge says the thing that mainly bothers her is the fact that Bart's seen it, and he admires Homer. She can't have Bart acting like a delinquent little bastard, so she tells him to bring Bart to the princess herself. So they go to a strip club, but she isn't there, so they go to another one, and it's the same story. About 4 more later, they finally find her. Homer apologizes for the way he treated her the other night and introduces her to Bart. She obviously doesn't care about anything he has to say, and Homer gets lifted up with her. And he tries to run away, but they're already lifted too high, so he dangles off the side of the bird cage. She tries to kick his hands off, claiming her manager will not be happy if he sees what's going on, but he just won't let go until he finally does, right after the curtains have already opened. The performer attempts to kick Homer off, but somebody screams it's the dancing guy, so he's kept on the stage and forced to make a guest appearance. He almost messes up, and you can actually see Bart admiring him for dancing with these professional dancers. He catches himself and shuts down everything, which is actually like a super heartwarming scene that I love so much, and tells everyone that the women are not objects. They're a lot of things.
They are our wives. They are our daughters, our sisters, our grandmas, our aunts, our nieces and nephews. Well, not our nephews. They are our mothers. And you know something, folks? As ridiculous as this sounds, I would rather feel the sweet breath of my beautiful wife on the back of my neck as I sleep than stuff dollar bills into some stranger's G-string.
And Marge happily takes Homer's performance, and Bart kicks everyone out. Bart gets home and makes his way up to his new pet frog. Homer falls down the stairs and breaks out his back. He asks the dog to get some help, but he just goes to sleep on him. Maggie comes by, but she falls asleep too. Oh, there's Snowball. Marge and Lisa finally walk in once the toy's half dead, and Bart's screamed at, and he's ordered to clean up his room. As he's cleaning, he finds a forgotten cherry bomb. Skinner's showing his mom around the school, and she decides to use the toilet as Bart's dropping the bomb down it. Homer's being babied by Marge now.
Look at you! You're fucking pathetic!
And Skinner comes home with Bart. He offers to deport Bart. He's willing to send him to a foreign exchange program in France for 3 months. Bart says yes, and the men celebrate. Marge shares a teary goodbye with Bart before a man comes by and asks for the passenger. Bart says him, so he's picked up and thrown into his seat. Bart walks up to this strange man and drives through all these strange sights. He shows up, and it isn't exactly what he was expecting. Meanwhile, Homer and Lisa go over some fun facts about France. The foreign boy gets off the plane and politely greets everyone. The men steal all of Bart's stuff and talk about how much each item's worth. Bart asks them to hop off, and they just growl at him, so he backs off. The boy looks about the crowd and tells about how great America is, along with all of its people, and even though he's supposed to hate them, he still respects them for who they are and what they mean. Bart's taken through the forest, taking the job of a donkey. Lisa and her new brother get into an argument, but he respectfully settles it. He grabs up all the dishes, and Homer talks about how much of an upgrade they got. Lisa tweaks out,
Your paper-thin commitment to your children sends shivers down my spine.
and Marge yells at him too. Bart's sent to sleep on a hay bed, but it turns out he's actually stuck sleeping in the corner on the concrete floor. Homer's new son asks if he can go to the nuclear plant with Homer, but I think he has some other intentions than ass-kissing. Bart's boss instructs him for a second, then shows him where he'll be spending the next few hours. Homer brings his new son to the plant and shows him everything. Bart stomps out some wine and grunts about hating France while making up his own little jingle.
I hate France.
Later that night, the boy is hiding in Bart's treehouse and speaks in France. I gotta stop doing this shit, bro. What am I doing? Why am I recording this at 4 in the morning? Making a broadcast to some kind of government. He sends them some pictures he took at the plant. Bart reads off a letter he received from Marge and starts tearing up. He blows out a candle and holds it together. The next morning, Bart finds the guys putting antifreeze in the wine, but they ran out, so they send Bart, only for him to get lost. And he finds a police officer, but he only speaks French, so he gives up and starts to walk away. But he realizes he has learned French. Bart runs up to the man and tells him everything. The forced minor labor, the sleeping on a concrete floor, the barely any food, but all he really ends up caring about is the antifreeze in the wine.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Bart brings the man and they arrest both of them. After the men are arrested, the program is canceled, so a deal is sent away for good. Bart gets home and everyone sits around the table all excited. Homer gets out a bottle of wine and Bart makes fun of him in French. Bart watches Krusty torture his assistant, Slideshow Bob, for a little girl named Brittany's birthday special.
Don't blame me. I didn't do it.
Then he shows an episode of his cartoon, Itchy and Scratchy. And man, do I just love this show so much. Marge stops them and Homer goes to Apu's for some ice cream. Meanwhile, Krusty's undercover and he shockingly robs Apu. Homer jumps into a display of chips and Krusty runs away with the money.
You can emerge now from my chips. The opportunity to prove yourself a hero is long gone.
Meanwhile, the kids are stuck looking at Selma and Patty's vacation photos. Homer helps the police with the sketch and realizes it's none other than the clown himself. No, not that clown. So his house is invaded by fucking SWAT. What the fuck? They start his rights, but they just don't, I guess. Chief was wild this season, bro. Like, what the actual fuck?
Krusty the Clown, you're under arrest for armed robbery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say, blah, 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 blah.
It's a joke? How about another joke, Murray?
Homer starts laughing during the lineup, and Wiggum shows off his complete opposite personality. I mean, wow, does...
Oh, no, which one is the robber?
Oh, definitely number...
Simpson. Simpson!
4.
Homer runs home and starts to tell Marge, but then lets the news. The TV man announces Krusty's arrest, and the children kinda crash out. Homer gets busted on camera.
The reason I look unhappy is that tonight I have to see a slideshow starring my wife's sisters.
And then comes Krusty. Bart overlooks all of his knickknacks that night and depressingly listens to his toy on repeat. The main TV man announces Krusty's court hearing landing tomorrow, and then shows some deleted footage from a few years back of Krusty having a heart attack, and changes the game a little by asking children to read books halfway through each episode. And so it should have showed some change, but no. Later that day, the church man basically compares Krusty to the devil. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of fucked up. Krusty starts the trial by admitting his guilt, but his lawyer corrects him and he laughs it off. Homer takes the stand and gets embarrassed by the CTV footage, and the guy who asks all the questions asks some questions and has Homer point to the person who done it, and he points to Krusty, immediately betraying Bart. Later that day, Bart claims Homer was just following the crowd, and he says no, he was just riding along with the bandwagon, and tells him to move on with him. The church man burns all of Krusty's shit in a big Candyman type burn pit. Krusty admits his illiteracy and cries. He admits he plays in a sports game gamble or two, and they find Krusty guilty for at least that. Sideshow Bob is now taking the star role, and Bart turns off the TV. He just can't bear to watch this bullshit anymore, so he asks Lisa for some help, and she makes him admit she's smarter than him. They walk into the convenience store and sniff out all the clues. They figure out Krusty wouldn't have been reading that magazine because he's illiterate. Slideshow Bob walks into his star's room after the show, and he begins crying over Krusty, until slowly transitioning into an evil laugh. Slideshow Bob jokes about Krusty's incompetence with some investors before going on live. Bart looks on in betrayal, and Slideshow Bob points him out. Bart declines his invitation at first, but Lisa pushes him into it. Bob takes him up to the stage and talks with him about Krusty. He tries to use the magazine argument, but Bob shows him some pictures, proving that you don't really need to know how to read to enjoy a magazine. He goes over Krusty's guilt and tries to move on, but Bart clicks the feet sizes, and so he has to know. He slams Bob's foot with a massive hammer, and Bob tweaks out. Then Bart claims Krusty has tiny feet, so when Homer trips over Krusty's foot in the footage, he wouldn't have cared, but Bob did. And he's arrested. Even the cops admit that they don't even know how they didn't see that. So they try to apologize, and Krusty personally thanks Bart. The kids argue over the last donut, but the box rips, and it lands on Homer's plate. He eats it, and the kids run to school. Marge tells Maggie it's just them again, but a radio ad statics in, talking about a dial-up therapist. While Homer's working, the radio's turned up, and it's Marge complaining about Homer. The doc tells her to leave him, and Homer's left pretty anxious. Bart prank calls Moe again, but he falls for it.
Phone call for Al. Alcoholic. Is there an alcoholic here? Wait a minute. Listen, you little yellow-belly rat jackass. If I ever find out who you are, I'll kill you.
just like every other time. Homer tells Moe Marge is gonna leave him because he's a pig.
Look at you! You're fucking pathetic!
But Moe tells him everybody in the bar are pigs. He tells Homer to take Marge out on a romantic date. You know, prove her wrong. Buy her some flowers, and then buy a real nice fancy hotel room and, you know, do the rest. So Homer runs around town. He stops at a premium flowery and leaves with just one?
They're $55 a dozen.
One, please.
What? Marge is waiting at the door, and the kids ask for some dinner, but she's not feeling it. She cycles through some vicious thoughts as Homer practices his speech.
This'll never work.
He comes in with the box of chocolates and a flower, and Marge takes the apology in a heartbeat.
Look at you! You're fucking pathetic!
Homer asks Marge out, and she calls a babysitting service. She's immediately met with a disrespectful disconnect after the receptionist realizes they're the Simpsons, so she makes Homer call back, and she rants about the family for a while, and says she'll send somebody right over, which just has to be so embarrassing knowing that, like, this stranger is okay with talking that much shit about your family because your family is, like, that bad. I don't know. I would be tweaking out, personally. So Homer and Marge get ready for their date. The kids are met by this.
Hi, I'm here to sit on the baby.
What?
Well, duh, I'm the babysitter.
Terrifying. I'm so glad I never had a babysitter. The babysitter tells Bart they're going to watch the tape, but he says Marge lets them watch whatever they want. She crashes out and says she don't know what she'll do to him because no kid's ever not listened to her, so he puts the tape in, and she puts Maggie to bed. Bart switches the channel after she takes too long and turns on America's Most Wanted. Homer and Marge attend their fancy dinner, and it actually looks really relaxing. Meanwhile, the kids watch on as the TV describes the babysitter bandit, and they describe her as a woman and a babysitter. Then they show a picture. I would be tweaking balls. And she walks in holding a rope. So the kids run for it, and Bart runs to the basement, and Lisa runs to the phone, but can't remember the number. Homer and Marge decide to take the scenic route, deciding doom for the kids, I guess. Bart hides under the stairs, and the babysitter opens a cupboard. Bart's on top of her, but he falls over. Thank God, that would have been so much prison. Lisa hides under the table and finally remembers the number, but they won't pick up. While she's waiting, the babysitter drags her out of the table. The kids are held in the living room, and Bart continues trying to resist, but Lisa shushes him and tells him to enjoy the most of it. Maggie escapes her bedroom, but is distracted by the TV until she accidentally turns it off. Then Lisa tricks her into untying her, and she continues distracting the babysitter. She leads the babysitter to a door, and she opens it, but it's really the three of them, and Bart hits her up over the head with a bat, officially ending their torture. Marge decides to call home, but there's no answer. So her and Homer run straight back. They walk in to find the babysitter hog-tied. Homer frees her, gives her all their shit, and pays her triple the pay. She skirts off, and the police ask if he aided her. It takes him a second, but once he realizes, yep, you deserve to feel that way.